Courtney has more than 3 years of experience in civic technology. He is founder and director of the Justice Code Foundation, an organization that focuses on using technology for civic good. Courtney will be speaking to us on rethinking the future of Africa-US bilateral relations. Thank you, Courtney. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to be before you this morning, and well, I had asked to be excused, but of course I'll share with you what I have prepared. So I'll start by sharing with you why I chose this idea of us dissecting the U.S. and Africa bilateral relationships. This is because when I was having conversations with different fellows for the past 6 weeks, I came across the realization that there is a common thread that runs across everyone here, from Cairo to the Cape of Good Hope, and this is shared among us. And what this boils down to is what is going to be the future of our continent. And looking at the history of our continent, you come to the realization that it has by and large been influenced by other players who are outside influencers in terms of its politics, in terms of its economy, and even in terms of its social setting. One of the biggest players has been the United States of America. The reason why we are here as fellows is because of this relationship. And this is a relationship that dates back to the Cold War days. And during the Cold War days, the engagement between the US and Africa was to the effect that the United States saw Africa as a ground to which they could contest their ideas of capitalism and socialism with the Soviet Union. And we had leaders such as Mobutu Sese Seko and David Arap Moi, who were used by the US to try and counter the idea of socialism. But as time went by, this ideology changed. It went on to the US rethinking its approach towards Africa. Presidents such as Clinton, Bush, came to a realization that we need to change our policies. And this was mainly influenced by the agencies that were in Africa representing the United States government. Now, this was a time whereby one of the huge events happened in the United States of America, and this is the 9/11 event. This shaped the concept and engagement of US government towards Africa because they started thinking of Africa as one of the breeding ground for terrorist acts. And surprisingly, Nelson Mandela, until 2008, was classified as a terrorist by the United States government. This is a leader that we're celebrating in Africa. And so you see the dynamics of the relationships that we had. And during Bush's era, he was incentivizing governments in Africa to try and adopt the US Patriotic Act. Why are we tracing this history? As it was said earlier on, our history is important in understanding our future. Now, this ideology is still continuing. The US still views Africa not as an equal player on the negotiating table. in terms of trade, in terms of politics, in terms of any other matters. They see us as a platform where they could engage in different wars with other players from outside, such as China and Russia. We have the US-Africa Summit. We have now the Russia-Africa Summit, China-Africa Summit. But then the reason why I am confronting the US-Africa policy is because it is different from the Russia engagement. It is different from the China engagement in that it is centered around the models of democracy. It is centered around the models of human rights. However, from an African standpoint, this has not been the case because we have seen huge looting of resources from Africa. As Africans ourselves, we are calling upon a new idea and a new approach to our relationship with the US, whereby they do not simply come to Africa to take resources. Everyone has a mobile phone. In a mobile phone, there is a precious resource called cobalt, mainly found in Congo. But then we are calling upon those that have expertise from the US. You're doing mining, also do value addition. This will benefit people in Africa and also people that are mining in the Congo. It is sponsored by child labor. Are you paying attention to that? On the one hand, you are preaching human rights. On the one hand, you are not practicing that. Let's rethink our engagement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Courtney. That was so thought-provoking. And next, I'm going to welcome, we call her our Adelicious Adele from Zimbabwe. Adele has more than 5 years of experience in voluntary service and leadership and development. She is an anti-money laundering officer at the Zimbabwean Anti-Corruption Commission. She's going to be speaking to us on the power of mindset. That's my favorite.
Mo has just put an extra burden on us by the way he introduced us as powerful. Since childhood, I have always enjoyed story time, be it at school or at home. One of the stories that have greatly impacted my life is the story of a man who caught a baby elephant. But before I delve any further into the topic, my hope and desire is that by the end of this speech, I inspire at least one of you to harness the power of the mindset in changing the existing African narratives. Upon catching the baby elephant, the man tied its foot with a heavy chain to a big tree. And for days, the baby elephant struggled. It jagged. It pulled. But because of its age, it could not free itself. Although the owner fed and took good care of the elephant, he never removed the chain. As the elephant grew, it became bigger, stronger, and the owner was very concerned. Should he find a bigger chain or a bigger tree? Well, he pondered. As weeks turned into months, the owner realized he did not need to do anything because you know what? The elephant never attempted to escape. Although the chain around its feet was no match for its strength now, it was convinced that it would never escape. Wow. What a story, right? I thought so too. But this story is no foreign to our African narratives. There is so much to relate to. Just like the elephant that had been tied for so long that it did not see itself escaping from the chains. But instead, it was convinced that there was no way out. So has been our beloved African continent. For so long, we have been tied to inferiority complex, patriarchy, and ethical social practices due to traditions and beliefs, a lack mentality, always seeing what's lacking but not what is there, a limiting mindset, just like the elephant, built over a period of time. But what if I tell you that you hold the power to chart the new course and change these existing African narratives? Young African leaders, we owe it to our beloved continent and countries to harness the power of mindset in consciously and intentionally designing the Africa we envision. It starts with us. Yes, each and every one of us, through us, in our civic engagement programs, we can build a championing mindset, something Africa really needs. A wise man once said, if you can build a muscle, you can build a mindset. Let's reimagine Africa and actively participate in reshaping mindsets. It's no easy work, I agree, just as what my fellow colleagues said during the panel. It demands intentionality, resilience, consistency, accountability, and so much more. But can it be done? Yes, it can be done. One of the things my father was very intentional of growing up was building a winning mindset within me through constant affirmations. He would challenge me to attempt even the tasks I thought were difficult. He would look me in the eyes and say, if it cannot speak like you do, then do not tell me that it cannot be done. Thanks to that man, here I am today. Not just with an empowered mindset, but challenging the rest of Africa to shift mindsets. I will leave you with these famous words by Marianne Williamson, an American author and politician. She said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. As we grow in self-awareness, as we harness the power of visualization, we can build the Africa we desire. And as Steve Maraboli said, once your mindset changes, everything outside will change along with it. Thank you.
Well done, Adele. Thank you for the power of mindset. And next, we are going to be listening to someone that is widely known by the press in Botswana as the legal eagle. And that is none other than the sterling lawyer in person of Ma'am Injira Mbewe. She has more than 10 years of experience in law and leadership. She founded and practices law at Mbewe Legal Practices, where she provides legal services to private clients and on pro bono basis to the indigent in the communities. She's going to be speaking to us on I Am the Miss, the unrelenting pursuit of fairness. Now, when she said the Miss, I asked her, what is the meaning of Miss? We've not heard of this in the vocabularies yet. In all my years of writing, and she said that the Miss is the personification of a Greek goddess that represents justice, divine order, and law. Perhaps you will break that for us more. Thank you, Njira.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. I am Themis, the Greek goddess in personification of the law. Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. In 2010, during the World Cup in South Africa, I remember everyone was excited. The slogan was, "Feel it, it is here." I was a victim of physical abuse. This is not a story of a victim. This is a story of a victor. And from that day on, my pursuit and passion for law was ignited in me. I love the law because the law has power to change things, but only if we have access to it. Supreme Court Judge John Story said, "The law seeks constant courtship. It is the jealous mistress." And indeed, it has been in my life. At times, I have not been able to see my family, but it has all been worthwhile. In my country, lawyers are depicted in movies and series as men and women looking dapper, wearing suits, serving the elite on retainer. But I want you to imagine what happens to the woman who's battered and bruised by her husband daily. I want you to imagine the widow who loses her property whilst she's still in mourning because of harmful traditional practices. I want you to imagine the little boy who's lost his parents and needs to be adopted. What happens to them? Where do they go? Because they do not have the financial means to see a lawyer. My name is Njiramanda Mbewe, and I am a lawyer and founder of Mbewe Legal Practice, female-led and inclusive law firm whose mission is to be legal service with a difference. And what is that difference? The difference is we take access to justice to the people. We provide access to justice to the people. We fight and advocate against gender-based violence, and we mentor and train young women and lawyers because the youth are our future. The youth are Africa's future. Now, the answer to the question, where do they go, is simple. I go to them. I go to each and every community that is in need, and I provide access to education to them. Leaders, our constitutions here subscribe to the rule of law, to fundamental human rights and freedoms, the right to life, liberty, health, education, the right not to be discriminated against or subjected to inhumane or degrading treatment. Access to justice is education. And this means that the principle is it matters not your educational background or your socio-economic status, but rather that we should all have equal rights before the law and opportunities before the law to identify a violation, a discrimination, and to enforce legal remedies. When we provide access to justice, we educate. When we educate, we empower. Empowering means we give people hope. And hope is that one thing that helps us see the light in times of darkness. And as you join me, fellow leaders, we should build our shared future because access to education is the bedrock of each and every one of your causes here. Whatever it is that you're fighting in your respective country, you need to educate our people because when they're educated, they're liberated and empowered. And so, let us continue to be built, not to shrink down into less, but to blossom into more. I am Themis. Thank you.
Thank you, Themis. She actually utilized her time and was exactly on time. And, the next person I'm going to introduce to you that will be speaking to us, I want to implore you all to take note of her face. If you can take selfies with her, take selfies with her. Because I can assure you that in the near future, she's going to be the Prime Minister of Mauritius. Sorry. And that's no other than Dashni Choita, another legal eaglet. With more than 3 years of experience in the field, currently Dashni is a barrister at the Chambers of Gavin Glover SC and focuses on litigation, civil, criminal, commercial, constitutional, and employment matters, and arbitration and mediation. She is going to be speaking to us on rewriting the future of women's rights, human rights, and Africa. Thank you.
A knife is a tool that can be used for good, such as slicing fruit in the kitchen, or a knife can also be used as a weapon to destroy life. In 2009, a knife was used to prick and slash the face, back, and buttocks of Marie-Ange Melazar, a heavily pregnant Mauritian woman. The handle of the knife was thrusted into her anus. This after 3 Mauritian men stole from her, tore her clothes, raped her, burned her, pelted her with stones, and threw her in a manhole. In 2016, Yeshna Hagubin, only 14 years, was stabbed by a man just because she rejected his love. And in 2018, Anjani Bairo died at the hands of her partner, who stabbed her once and pitilessly twice. If the staggering reports of 481 domestic violence cases registered between March and May 2020 are not shocking enough, then the 16 cases reported per day in a small island like Mauritius should be enough to demand change. My name is Darshini Choita, and I was once sexually assaulted. There was a time when I was slapped for standing up, a time when I was told what clothes to wear, a time when I lost myself. But I was fortunate to get help and to heal, a chance that most Mauritian women do not get. They suffer silently, without any help from the government and their families, till their existence is completely wiped out. I am a barrister doing pro bono work and litigating mostly in human rights, constitutional, and election law. Each day, I voice for equality, educate about the voting system, and legally assist women. I also volunteer with 2 NGOs on women empowerment and rights of sex workers. But what we really need, and what I am working towards, is creating a common, safe space for women to share their stories. We also need to educate women about signs of domestic violence so that they can identify crisis and get help. I am also writing for the voting system and election process to shift focus on women and to improve our political efficiency and effectiveness. Men and women, we have the power to change our future if we stand together, raise our voices, and extend our hands to one another. I, for one, am already extending a hand. Let's amplify our united voices for these human rights, because our collaborative efforts can enhance our homes, villages, and countries. The motto is, we for us. This is my story as a Mauritian, but I'm mostly African. I have learned from my fellows that we are facing deep issues, from corruption, dictatorship, to hunger, unemployment, and climate change. Women's rights is logically intertwined with these issues. If women have to walk for hours to get water, climate justice is not achieved. If women do not get a seat at the table, corruption and dictatorship cannot be combated. If women cannot work and eat, then unemployment and hunger cannot be combated. But fear not, we all have one thing in common, and that is our passion for change. So today, instead of taking a knife, I'm taking this tool, a pen to rewrite our laws, a pen to rewrite our mission, and a pen to rewrite our stories. So join me to rewrite the future of women's rights, human rights, and Africa. Join me with your countries to align our policies. Join me with your time, donations, and collaborations so that together we can create a better, fairer, and safer Africa. Thank you.
So from the way the uploads is going, I want to think that we're all unanimous in agreeing that she's the force of connection and collaboration in Africa. So I'm going to invite Judy Chesarek and Joseph Makuni to put it all for us together. Please take your seats and please tell us what Adele, Courtney, Injira, and Dash have just said. In just you're supposed to have 10 minutes, but permit me to use the liberty of holding the microphone to give you 7 minutes so that we can have ample time for the networking. And guess who Chess is again? She's also a legal eaglet. So we have legal eagles and legal eaglets in the house. You know? Chess has more than 8 years of experience in the legal sector. She is a senior legal officer at the Office of the County Attorney, County Government in Kiambu in Kenya, where she focuses on litigation and advocacy. And guess who Joseph is as well? He is also a legal eagle. Another legal lion, sorry. The eagle is flying too much in the house. So he has more than 6 years of experience providing legal services and legal education to the marginalized and disadvantaged. So we want to hear from you. Thank you.
The MC is stealing all our time. Thank you for your presentations, quite insightful. Now imagine all of us contributing to the fight of sexual and gender-based violence, regardless of your sexual orientation, beliefs across regional spaces, across intersectional lines. Now I invite you all to question yourself. How can we best collaborate? How can we best work together to bring out the vision which is so intersectional and so cross-cutting, which our colleagues have given to us? Now, the Mandela Washington Fellowship has obviously given us the platform to collaborate. And we have all been weighed in the balances of scale by Themis, and we've been found wanting. Thank you, Njira, for that. So, as we strive to build one Africa, which is united, peaceful, and strong, we all should come together and work together. Now, how brilliant are the submissions by my friend Adele? Forgive my use of the word submissions. The lawyers will understand. Now, imagine us embracing an entrepreneurial mindset, shifting focus to embrace a paradigm shift from seeing the negative to seeing the positive. embracing an emphasis on sustainable development, collaboration and unity, gender equality, institutional and governance reform. Just think about that. Now, regardless of the area that you're working in, there is something that you can do to collaborate, to influence, to aid the journey of all our colleagues. The other thing that I call upon us to collaborate on is in culture preservation and appreciation. How have we interacted with the culture, with the US culture? We have seen it from our times in James Montpelier, the Highlands, and just to sum it all up, I think Mandela gives an apt quote for this. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived, it is the difference we have made to the lives of others that would determine the significance of the life we lead. Let's all continue to serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greatness lies in not failing, but in rising up every time we fail. As young African leaders today, we've traveled thousands of miles, carrying the dreams, hopes, and aspirations of our people. And we sit here at the very heart of Virginia, where over 200 years our ancestors came here in chains. But we've traveled here with our pens, as Dasha said, great minds ready to change the world and to change and rewrite the history. It is the hope of those we've left behind that as young people we will dare to do what our parents could not do. We will dare to do what our ancestors could not do. And in that spirit, I urge all of us that we stand tall, we stand very tall and proud of our true heritage as Africans, for we will build a future that is worth fighting for. What joins us today is far way bigger than what separates us. We may come from different countries. We have boundaries that were placed by the colonials, but that is nothing to what we share today. As we sit here, having spent 6 weeks together, yet coming from different countries, but the commonality and the engagement of our ideas can be seen even in our casuals of talk, that we have one dream as African people. And I stand to echo the sentiments and the words of my colleagues before me, that the dream is real and we will live it, we will achieve it. We pass the same to our children and our children's children. Even if we will not see it now, then the fire will continue. Just as the slaves struggled and they fought so hard, and here we stand as equal partakers at the table. Isn't it not amazing? Okay, why? Another question I'd like to ask all of us here is, why fight so hard? Why risk your life, David, every day? Why would I risk my life as a member of the LGBT community and fight every day? Why? The next question is, why not? Why not dare? Why not see how much we can achieve? Why not see how great a future we can build together as we fight for a global involvement, and as we fight for human rights, as we fight for equality, as we fight for democracy? This is the time. The time is ripe for Africa to rise, and we're going to do it together. All of us, in our own small ways, in our own big ways, we will do it. And today I hold a pen, as Dasha said. In the morning, I received information that I have been shortlisted in the list for judges and magistrates. I hold a pen. Thank you. Thank you. And we will rewrite history. We will rewrite history. We will declare null and void those draconian laws that dare to take away our human rights. For to challenge someone and to deny them their human rights is actually to challenge their very own humanity. We stand tall as Africa and we say, a luta continua. Thank you.